Good evening. My name is Kay Autumn, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Benton and Franklin counties. Once again, the League is pleased to be partnering with the Greater Pasco and West Richland Chambers of Commerce, the City of Richland TV, City of Pasco TV, the Tri-City Herald, and Charter Communications, who is here tonight taping this forum for rebroadcast on Charter Channel 3 and on YouTube. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization who does not support or oppose any candidate. It is our goal to provide opportunities for voters to become better informed about the people who are running for public office. Tonight, we'll be hearing from candidates seeking a position on both the Kennewick School Board and the Kennewick City Council. The format will be as follows. Each candidate will make a 1.5-minute opening statement. We'll then have question and answers, and they'll have 1.5 minutes to respond. We've determined some questions, and as you know, we're also accepting questions from the audience. If you have school board questions and you have them ready, hold them up, and a league member will come and collect it from you and bring it up to me. Please make your questions so that everyone can answer them. And then at the end, each candidate will have 1.5 minutes for closing. I have asked each of the candidates their birthdays, and whoever birthday was the closest to mine got to choose if they wanted to be first or second, opening or closing. So that's how we establish that rather than any kind of a coin toss. And then when we do the questions, I'll probably just kind of go down the row here to help myself, and I'll try to make sure everyone gets a chance to be first in answering a question. So as you can see, the school board candidates are up here ready to go, and I'd like to introduce them at this time. Running for the position of Director 3 are Ben Messenger and Kathleen White, and running for Director 5 are Brian Brooks and Uby Creek. So we'll start with the opening statements with position 3. And having been decided by closest birthday, Ben, you'll be going first.
Thank you, Kay. First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and all those involved who have helped to facilitate this. I feel honored to be invited here to participate. My name is Ben Messenger. I'm a Kennewick resident, of course, and a local business owner. I have 3 young children. 2 of them are already in the Kennewick school system. My youngest will be in a few years. And so as a concerned citizen and a proud resident of Kennewick, and as a parent, I would like to serve you on the Kennewick School Board. I believe that my background as a local employer, as a board-certified financial planner, and as a parent qualifies me to make a valuable contribution to our school board, and I hope that I can have your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Kathy White.
Hello. I also would like to express my appreciation for the groups who came together to make these forums possible. Coordinating is no small task, and I'm sure the people involved have worked very hard to do that. And yes, my name is Kathy White, and I'm running for re-election. 4 years ago, I ran for this position because I felt that I had some experience to add to the board operations. I am a retired teacher, also a retired dental hygienist before I moved to Washington. But I wrote curriculum for the dental assisting program at TriTech Skills Center, and I also made the transition to Desert Hills Middle School. So I have a feeling of what it's like to be in the classroom, which is really the most important part of the school district's activities. And not only one classroom, but 2 very different kinds of classroom. Since that time, I've been very engaged in the school board work, partially because I do have time more than the other school board members. I've been their representative at the Levy and Bond Committee on audit reviews. I've been to principal interviews, and I've been, whenever there was any need, that something that needed to be done during the day, I was usually the one who had the time to do it. I also have been very involved in continuing education for school board directors. I'm currently in the leadership class of the Washington State School Directors Association. And as such, I've examined leadership from many, many different ways, my own personal motivation, and I've honed my skills to learn to work on a team.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from the candidates for position 5, and we'll start with Mr. Brooks.
Thank you. And thank you, League of Women Voters and other co-sponsors, Tri-City Herald, everyone. I too appreciate the chance to be here tonight. I had this great bio all prepared, but I think I'll just direct you to my website. I'm Brian Brooks, brooksforschools.org. You can learn all about me there, and I think that'd be a good thing to do because tonight's my wife's birthday. She's 44. I actually practiced my opening. She didn't know I was going to do this, but 44 tonight, and this is just how we envision spending a nice, quiet birthday evening together. So I appreciate her being here. We have 4 children. They've been through the Kennewick School District. I have 2 in Kamiakin, still 2 that have graduated from Kamiakin. I'm a physical therapist. I'm serving on the board of directors of Columbia Physical Therapy. I've been the treasurer there for the last 10 years. It's a multi-million-dollar corporation, and I've been elected and re-elected for 10 years there. In August, I was appointed to fill the position on the board, and I appreciate very much, as Wendy London moved, I was selected to fill that position, and I've appreciated the board's trust in me, and I've learned a lot, and look forward to continuing to serve and learn there on the school board.
Thank you. And now Uby Creek.
Good evening, and thank you, Kay, and the rest of the folks that put this wonderful program on for it to be repeated over and over again. So thank you so much. Like I said, I'm Uby Creek. My husband is Mike Creek. I have 2 beautiful daughters, Emily Renee Creek and Michelle Ann Creek. They both went through the Kennewick schools, Washington Park Kennewick High School. The oldest one attended Whitworth College and then went on to the Intercollegiate College of Nursing to be a nurse at Sacred Heart as we speak now. Our other one went on to Whitworth to study political science. She is now working in Washington, D.C. for Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rogers from the Spokane area in an internship that turned into a job, and she has applied to law school to be our first family's attorney, of which I am really proud of. And that is a testament to the good schools of the Kennewick School District and the fine teachers that do a wonderful job every day, despite sometimes the hands tied behind their backs. And so being a part of the school district, as I was for almost 18 years, I understand what the teachers have to work with and deal with. And I want to be a voice on that board for the teachers. I also am very involved in the community in a lot of different areas with HAP, with Drums Along the Columbia, with cavalcade of bands. I've taught Ready for Kindergarten. I've had my finger on the pulse of this community, and I think it's time that there's someone on the board that represents other aspects of our community. So appreciate your vote next month.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to begin our question and answer period by getting the white elephant out of the room. You would have had to have not been in the Tri-Cities over the past month to know there was an issue with the school board to do with clubs in the high schools. 2 of you who are here were there and voted last Wednesday night on what was finally decided. 2 of you were not. I want to ask those of you, we're going to start with you, Mr. Messenger. You were not there. Had you been, how would you have voted and why?
Thank you, Kay. Actually, I was there, but I was not allowed to vote. If I had been there, I would have voted for Heather Kinsley's proposed amendment. I believe that it corrected many problems with the policy that needed changed, and so I was very happy to see that that was taken care of.
Okay.
I'd also like to say I was very happy to see the type of participation in the meeting. We had a lot of comments from students that were, I think that as a citizen of Kennewick, I was proud to see that student involvement.
Okay, thank you. Should look out there. Ms. White, you were there and you did vote.
Yes,
you
I
could
did.
share with us how you voted and why?
Okay, I was the lone dissenting vote, and the reason I dissented is because I didn't think the amendment was broad enough. I think the success of clubs on any campus depend on the leadership of the principal to foster the organizations that are the most beneficial to the ambiance or to the climate of the school. And I would have liked to have seen that included. I further regret my August vote where I voted yes with reservations. At that point, I have to admit I was confused by the parliamentary law. I thought we should have had or parliamentary procedure, that we should have had an amendment and then a motion. Instead it was put in all at once. And as soon as I realized, the next day I emailed Mr. Bond and suggested that I turn my vote to no. And as far as I know, I was the first person to say I wanted to reconsider my vote. And after that, one by one, every board member contacted Mr. Bond to do that. And so I was absolutely thrilled to see the community involvement, to see that beautiful new room we have, to see it filled with so many participating people, and everybody had good things to say. If anything, maybe we should make a mistake every now and then to get the people out.
Okay, the mics are just mainly for TV, so if they can speak as loud as, a little louder.
Okay, folks, did you hear that? Try to speak louder. Okay, Mr. Brooks, you were there and you did have a vote. How did you vote and why?
I was there, and I appreciated the community input as well. I'd like to say, you can't hear me back there? I'll try. I would like to say that I was a little disappointed by some of the way that the whole issue was portrayed in the media. I don't think that the original vote was portrayed accurately. I came home one day, my daughter, and I said this at the meeting, who's a sophomore at Kamiakin, said, "Dad, that evil school board just killed Swing Club. What are you guys thinking?" And that was a complete misunderstanding. The original policy did not do that. It didn't do a lot of things that were said that it did do. Having said that, I thought it was great that it was revisited. There were some changes made that were very good. I tend to disagree with Kathy a little bit on allowing the principals leeway with money. We're coming into some tight budget times, looking at mid-year cuts. The way the laws are written, and this is very important to understand, the way the laws are written, if one extracurricular club is allowed a paid advisor, all extracurricular clubs need to have a paid advisor, or be allowed to have a paid advisor. I think that we just cannot afford that. We need to focus on the academics and things of that nature. So that's why I voted the way that I voted.
Thank you. And Ms. Creek, you did not vote there, but how would you have voted and why?
I have an issue in that I believe there's a difference between social clubs and academic clubs. I know that when my daughter, who has now been accepted to law school, was in high school, she needed the advisors to advise her and to connect her with community folks that could help her move forward in that. And I do believe that it was that helped her stay in tune with those different organizations in the community that in turn later, when she applied to college and filled out her application, that looked really good on the application. I'm not sure that the law necessarily pinpoints that we must provide finances for all of the clubs. there are cases across the country that talk about the rights that should be given to students. And so I think I would have recommended that we would have given the counselors and the principals some leeway, understanding that there are some financial crises coming up and some financial cutbacks that need to be made, mostly again because I believe that these students need academic advisory for those future careers that are not necessarily Pokemon social clubs. So that is my opinion, and that's what I would have said that night.
Thank you. Okay, our next question is for Mr. Messenger and Ms. White. And Ms. White, I'll have you go first. We had a question prepared, plus we received one from the audience about the reading program and graduation. So I'm going to ask, or say, there are specific skills that students must master in order to graduate from high school in the state of Washington. In your opinion, are there programs or policies that the district could implement that would increase the number of students who graduate from high school? And if you would focus in particular on the reading curriculum, I would appreciate it.
Okay, well, first of all, according to the bargaining agreement between the teachers union and the district, the number of advisory positions are set in the bargaining agreement. Okay, and as far as, what was the question again about reading?
I want to know about graduation requirements and specifically reading programs and policies that lead to being able to graduate.
Okay, the graduation requirements right now are under observation. I just received an email this afternoon from the State Board of Education proposing that there be 21 credits for graduation, and they're setting up some hearings throughout the state so that people can react to that. And if this passes, we'll have no choice. One of the things that is added is to have one credit of civics, which is something I think that really should be included. As far as reading, I think you do need the reading skills, but also it's very important the content that the students are reading. That if they're just spending time reading just basal readers when there is all kinds of human experiences that they can be reading about. I just spent all day Friday at the community input, and I was very, very pleased to see the materials that they're using in their reading mastery that do include social studies, history, much more richer than they have been in the past. So I think the district has made some wonderful strides.
Thank you. And Mr. Messenger.
First of all, I'm proud to live in Kennewick and to be a part of a community that has become so widely known across the nation for its academic achievements in early childhood literacy. I believe that a strong focus, not an exclusive focus, but a strong focus on reading skill is important. I believe in a simple formula that children who don't get behind continue to do well, and kids that continue to stay caught up and do well don't drop out of school. And so I believe that a strong focus on the core academic subjects from the very start is the key to keeping kids in school and reducing dropouts.
Okay, thank you. This next question, Ms. Creek, we'll have you go first. And I would like to know, find it.
I don't get to answer that other question?
No, I'm going to move on to another one. Sorry about that.
Oh, darn.
At the last school board meeting, Superintendent Bond made a presentation on last year's test scores in the district. He pointed out the correlation between those schools with the highest percentage of free and reduced lunches and lower test scores at those schools. Do you think there is more that the school district could do to help students in those schools be more successful academically?
I believe that parent involvement, which is what I do presently with ESD 123, is a really important key for that success. In that success, students on the west side tend to have more parents involved in the community, in their schools. Parents on the east side, due to that lower socioeconomic poverty, don't seem to have that. And I don't believe it's because they don't want to. I believe it's because they don't know how, and they haven't been taught maybe or given that as an option. I know my parents would just say, what does this paper say and where do I have to sign? They didn't realize they needed to be a little more part of the system, and yet they did the best that they could. And all four of their children, I'm proud to say, are now college graduates. I was the first to graduate from my family from high school. And in time, all four of us went on to college and are very resilient now, giving back to our communities. I would like to be a voice to go out and encourage parents to be involved. And I believe that Mi Lengua en Español would be helpful to those families that perhaps don't understand the English and don't get what it means to be an involved parent. And so I would like to add that piece to the school board, to be a board member that encourages that section of the population of our school district.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks.
In 2004, the percent of kids that qualified for free and reduced lunch in Kennewick School District was 38.6%. Today, it's 51.8%. And there are schools, as Mr. Bond pointed out, that are struggling. I think the first thing would be to commend the teachers that are working so hard and doing so well with these kids. Can we do better? Yes, absolutely. I think we can do better. And the district has goals and policies to move in that direction. I think Uby here points out very accurately that family involvement is critical, and that's one of the reasons that I so strongly support a program like READY for kindergarten. READY reaches out to families, teaches parents skills to help their kids come into kindergarten ready. One interesting statistic related to reading, students that passed third grade reading goal in 2004 passed the WASL at 94.5%. So in other words, the district has a reading goal of 90% of the kids being at grade level in third grade. If they passed it as a third grader, 94.5% of them passed the WASL. If they did not pass it, the number was, let me make sure I get this right, 44.2% that passed it, a 50% differential. And so those early programs are critical. And I'll just stop right there. Absolutely support those kind of programs.
Okay, thank you. We're going to stick with you, Mr. Brooks, and have you be first on this next question. This is one from the audience. It says, I have heard that teachers are so busy teaching reading and math that they have little time to teach American history and our Constitution. This person wants to know if you think this is true, and I would add to that a question, in your opinion, the math, science, and technology curriculum in the Kennewick School District. How do you think those are?
So, two questions
Sort of.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I can get that. The first question had to do with
reading
we're
and
spending
math.
so much time talking about reading and math
That we don't have time,
we're not having
for
time.
history and the Constitution.
Well, history's absolutely critical, and I think if we're not spending the time, we need to be spending the time to do that. I do believe that reading is the gateway skill, and if a student is not able to read at grade level or struggling, I really feel like it's in education, our obligation to help that student prepare for success in life by helping them read. And if that means more time reading, then I think we need to do that. But not, one of the great challenges is to do that, but not at the expense of history or arts or music. And so, You know, to answer your question, I don't know exactly how well that's going in the district right now. I think there are certainly ways we can look at that and do that, continuing to emphasize those core subjects, academic subjects, to help these kids succeed in life and still teach history and still teach the Constitution and still do arts. It seems like I was able to do all that, and seems like I spent a lot of time reading and doing math too. So I think we can do it.
And science and technology, too.
Yes.
That
It's all
was the
important.
second-
I missed the whole second part.
question. I'm
missed
sorry.
the whole second part of the
That was probably
question.
too much, but I'm
Do I
trying to
get another minute and a half?
everything
or-
in.
That is a lot in one question. That was that particular subject was one of the things that propelled me to run 4 years ago for the first time. I, as a paraeducator in the schools, was teaching in partnership with a teacher 2 hours and 40 minutes of reading, to the exclusion of math and science and some other subjects that are valuable, perhaps not as core, but most definitely valuable. Absolutely, 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 children must read to succeed. There's no way. You cannot succeed in this life without reading. However, you can read in a lot of subject matters. And one of the things that concerned me was children were reading in basal readers, and when they then moved on to middle school and were introduced to the open concept of reading out of the basal reader content, they would struggle. And we would see that in the scores that the 6th and 7th and 8th graders were putting out as per OSPI, which is the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, that you can go see. And so that was one of the concerns that I had. As far as math and science, I'm glad to see that the district partnered with Pasco and Richland to put out the Delta High School for that. So I think we're on our way, but reading absolutely a must.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Messenger, I'm going to have you go first on this next question. Do you agree with the amount of testing done within the district? Is it too much, not enough, or just right? Please explain your answer.
I think it's important to remember that the testing that's done in our school district is largely determined by state mandate. So we're doing what we've been instructed to do to evaluate our students. I believe in evaluation. Every aspect of my professional life hinges around performance evaluation and tangible measurement of goal progress. And so I can't understand how we could monitor how well we're teaching our students without evaluating them by testing. Testing isn't perfect, but testing is the best evaluation method that we have. It's used in government, it's used in the private sector, and it's used in education. I can't see any alternative. So I believe that our district is doing a good job, and is with regards to testing. I don't propose or have any ideas for a better system.
Okay, thank you. Ms. White?
With the election of Randy Dorn as the Superintendent of Public Instruction, the state testing changed, and he did come up with a shorter test, so that has helped. And also the thing is that the testing material, if it could be used, the results could be used as quick as possible, so it could really be a help to the teacher, which is one of the problems with the state testing. They're tested in spring and they don't get the results until August. By that time, the students are gone. The other kind of testing that we do in the district, the MAP testing, is done on a computer, and we get the results to that right away. And if you were at the last school board meeting when Dave Bond gave you the information, you see how you look at the numbers more than one way. You don't just look at the number and that's it. You look at it according to a standard, that is, it's the target. Every third grader should do this. But then you also look at it as you compare them to yourselves, the trend. For instance, a group of students that might have progressed 20 points might have done better than somebody who's met the standard. And then the last way you look at it is when you compare it to state and national standards. And one of the things I did when I first retired from teachers is I worked for the Nation's Report Card. And Washington State does very, very well in the National Assessment of Educational Progress. So the testing is necessary. We have to do that. But we have to look at it more than one way.
Okay, thank you. I think we have time for one more question before closing statements, and this is for all four of you. And it includes an audience question. What is your style of handling conflict? And I'm sorry to put a two-parter in here again, but also, and I think you can say this probably often includes conflict. Every year we hear about teacher strikes throughout the state. I'd like to know, in your opinion, how would you characterize the Kennewick School District's relationship with the KEA, the teachers union? So we will start, oh, I lost my list of who I'm going to start with. I think we're going to start back how we started at the beginning with, no, why did I lose that? No, we're not. Ms. Creek, you have not gone first on one of those.
Okay, you need to repeat the question
Okay,
again.
I'm sorry. What is your style of handling conflict, and what is your opinion of the school district's relationship with KEA, the teachers union?
If you had have asked me that question maybe 20 years ago, I would have said, let's step outside and duke it out. But time and wisdom, it teaches you that it's a good thing to agree to disagree and talk it out. I'd like to think that, and I have been given this little title that I'm a peacemaker. I'd like to think that I would be open to listening. I'm also been given the title of someone who has an opinion, and I do. But I think that together we are intelligent enough to agree to disagree, to bring out everything onto the table, and to, as adult professional people, come to a resolution that for what is best for what we are discussing. It is not about us. When we are on a board, it's a team. It's nobody is bigger than anybody, nobody is smaller than anybody. This is a team effort, and as a team, you must work toward the goal of what is best for the issue. The second?
Well, just the school district's relationship with the KEA.
Having worked in the school district, the Kennewick School District and KEA have a really good relationship. I was there when Ms. Jan Fraley was a part of KEA, then Mary Shaw, and now Terry Stottinger. And I think that they work well together with the school district administration, and I think it's a good little core team.
Okay, Mr. Brooks, both parts, your style of conflict and...
Let me start with the second one first.
Okay.
That way I'll remember that one.
All right.
Yeah, I agree that the KEA and the district have a very good working relationship and work together very well. I think the district has been very good. In fact, when I had my interview with KEA, I asked them that question: how do you feel like your relationship is? And they all said, as representatives of the KEA, that they felt great about that relationship. So I think that's a real positive thing. As far as my style for handling conflict, I think it's very important to not let things get personal. There's going to be conflict on a board. People have different opinions, and I think one of the problems, quite honestly, that the board has had in the past is they haven't been a team. It has gotten personal, and that has mired things down a little bit. And I would like to think my style for handling that is to listen very carefully, to try to understand where that other person is coming from, and then talk and work it out until we can come to some sort of conclusion or compromise together, to work as a team. I think that's very important. So not taking it personal, not letting it get personal, but working together toward a solution. On a school board, a solution that's going to be the best for the 15,678 kids that are part of the district. That's what you have to keep your focus on, I believe.
Thank you. Ms. White, same question. 2 questions.
Okay, as far as a style, I think the school board is a unique kind of situation. It's 5 people, and they have to come together for one decision. And it's, everybody can have their say, but not everybody gets their way. And once the decision is made, the majority, everybody is committed to that. In order to avoid conflict and to keep it from getting personal, before any major decisions are made, you should have some team building exercises. As a teacher, you know that in the classroom. Before you get into the teaching, you do some things to let the students know that you care about them and that you respect them. And the same thing should happen. In my 4 years on the board, we've never had any team building exercise. And I think this is very unfortunate because I think that has interfered with decision making. As far as our relationships with the teachers union, I was teaching at TriTech when Gary Fields was the superintendent, and I did go out on a strike once. And the atmosphere in the district was entirely different. We've come 180 degrees since then. The current superintendent and the entire cabinet is much more easier to work with, and we've got union members at every school board meeting, and they have a voice in everything that's said.
Thank you. Mr. Messenger?
As far as conflict style, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that phrase, but in dealing with conflict, I think that I like to focus on 2 things. One is that the parties involved need to remember and come to an understanding of their common ground. In the case of the subject that we're talking about tonight, that would be the success of students. Everyone involved should be concerned about the success of students. And if you focus on that common ground, then I believe that any challenges or conflicts are definitely within our reach to overcome. The second thing would be to encourage the parties involved to let down their guard enough to consider the opinions of the other parties. I think that if we will do that as adults that have a common interest, that we can solve any problem that we're presented with. As far as the relationship of the KEA with the school district and the community, well, I think that we have wonderful educators in this area. In fact, I married one of them. And the KEA is an organization that represents our educators. Going back to my comment about common ground, our first priority is helping our students to achieve their greatest potential. And I believe that that is the goal of our educators. That's the goal of the parents and others in the community, and it's the goal of our district. And so I think that we have a symbiotic relationship. All of these groups come together and work together to provide an excellent education for our students.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to closing statements, and Mr. Messenger, we're going to begin with you. You can breathe first.
All right. Well, we had talked that I would have the closing statement, but
Oh, did I
the
put
last
that
closing
down
statement. But if
backwards?
you'd like me to go first, that's fine.
No, I put it down backwards then. Do you mind going?
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'm
prepared.
sorry.
I would really encourage you to really consider my voting for me in a month or so. I've been on the board for 4 years, so I've got a record to stand on. Besides coming here to this forum, I would encourage you to go online to the auditor's website, Benton County website, look at the auditor, and there's a voter's pamphlet. It has more information about all of us candidates, and that would help you very much to make that. I feel that I am much more qualified to serve than I was 4 years ago. I have studied, read books about school boards. The latest one was the Essential School Board book, and it went through the 20 different school boards around the country that were very successful and how they went about doing it. And number one, successful school boards have student achievement as number one. They also have regular retreats and training. They also have study nights where they read the same book and talk about it and discuss it. There are so many things going on in education. Research is all the time, and then we've got those legislators, both in Olympia and in Washington, D.C., who at just the drop of a hat can change our lives and the practice of our profession. Advocacy is very important to me.
All right, thank you. Mr. Messenger.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to be able to participate in this forum tonight, and I appreciate those who've contributed questions and made this evening possible. As a parent of children in the Kennewick school system, I feel that I have the highest level of vested interest in the success of our schools. I also recognize that Kennewick has achieved a level of performance that we should all be proud of. In my professional work, I evaluate organizations and examine their successes and failures. And one of the things that is a common thread that I've seen in organizations that have achieved a level of success and then later faltered. The falter came as a result of abandoning the behaviors that led to their success. Kennewick schools have achieved a high level of performance, and as a board member, I'd like to see that we continue the behaviors that have allowed us to achieve that level of performance. And so I support the district's goals set forth. You can go to the school district's website and read their goals for their strategic objective. I support those wholeheartedly because I'd like to see us continue making the kind of strides that we've made recently.
Thank you. And again, running for Director 3 are Ben Messenger and Kathy White. And that was my mistake of the order there. So I think I'll get this one right. And for Director 5, Uby Creek, if you would please do your closing statement.
Sure. A few years ago, when my daughters were finishing school, because they're done now, and I don't have children in the school system anymore, I was beginning to look around and be concerned for the students, in the rest of the students that were still staying behind in the school system. And being that this is my community, I really feel a burden and I feel a passion to give back to my community. I was one of those migrant kids that traveled from state to state as a child, and I was not anywhere long enough to dig my roots deep. This has been my home now for almost 30 years. I love Kennewick. I love Kennewick schools. I love this community, and I want to give back to this community in whatever way I can. So when I was feeling this passion for it and this burden for it, I began to attend school board meetings so that I could know what it was to be a part of a board. What do you do? What do you have to read? What do you have to learn? How many meetings do you have to go to? So as a result of that, over the last 5 years, I've attended about 90% of the school board meetings, Wednesday after Wednesday after Wednesday with the rest of the school board members. I've attended also their spring and fall retreats, Friday night and all day Saturday, sometimes the only one in the audience. But listening, being a student of what it takes to be on a board, I believe that I have what it takes to be on that board. I also can bring another set of eyes to another portion of this community that is not represented. So I think that you need to vote for me because I will be good on that board for this community. And it is time that we have someone else that looks like the other people in this community to represent. Thank you very much. Appreciate your vote.
Thank you. And Mr. Brooks.
I think it's all about 15,678 kids. I think as a board we need to concentrate and continue, as Mr. Messenger said, continue the things that have brought such great success. It's all about their success, it's all about their achievement and helping them prepare for what's coming in their lives. I think it's important for voters to understand that there are differences among these candidates. There's differences between Ms. Creek and I and the way we think. And a couple of those differences, one is finances. One of the main roles of the school board is to oversee and approve a $151 million budget. In our last talk, Ms. Creek said she couldn't balance her own checkbook. And I'm sure she was kidding. I hope she was kidding.
The difference between me is I'm cuter.
But I will say, I think that's a very important distinction as we come to times when money is going to be tight. And we're looking at mid-year cuts. Number two, I was reading through school board minutes. September 24th, 2008, Ms. Creek stood up and made mention that she wanted to transfer all of money from ECAP, which is a special reading program, all of the money from Ready for Kindergarten to that particular program. And I think that would not be a wise move. I think we need to have Ready for Kindergarten proven study-wise that it's working and very visionary. Last thing, I have kids in the district, and that will help me keep focused on those things that are most important for the kids in the district for their success and achievement. So I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we end this segment, I want to quickly explain, and probably more for the benefit of the television audience than those of you who are here, what's going on with the Director 4 position. The school board member who filed for the Director 4 position is Wendy London, and her challenger is Ron Mabry. These are the two names that will appear on the ballot under the Director 4 position, even though Ms. London has, since the ballot was prepared, moved out of the area and no longer qualifies to hold that position. So if Mr. Mabry receives the most votes in November, he will be elected to the Director 4 position. If by chance the voters do not realize that Ms. London has moved away and cannot hold that position, then she would be declared the winner. But since she can't serve the school, they would then appoint a person to fill that position for 2 years. And then there would be an election in November of 2013. So it's kind of confusing, but we want people to understand that. So I want to thank all 4 of these candidates for being here tonight.